His wife texted at 2 a.m. "Busy now, I'll call later." He replied, "Don't bother, stay with him. My line is closed to you. Busy now, I'll call later." Those were the last words Sophie Miles texted her husband while lying beside another man in a hotel bed at 2 a.m. She had no idea that the quiet husband she mocked as ordinary was watching her location blink on his phone. What happened next will make you question everything you think you know about love betrayal, marriage, and cold revenge. Viewers, have you ever watched someone betray you in real time? How do you handle it? The vibration of the phone slips through the quiet like a whisper no one wants to hear, a small tremor that pulls Noah from half-sleep into a silence thick enough to drown in. He turns his head, eyes adjusting to the dim blue glow on the nightstand. 2 o'clock and a few minutes past. A map opens. Dark streets. One red dot pulsing steady in the center of downtown. The name of the hotel appears at the top of the screen. The Lennox Suites. Her car shouldn't be there. She said she was at a client dinner, said she was driving straight home after. He zooms in, sees the dot motionless for 40 minutes, then sees a second ping. The app automatically cross-references phones nearby. A second ID, unnamed, same room, same coordinates. The glow of the screen reflects off the edge of his ring. He doesn't breathe. Then a new vibration lands on top of the map, a message sliding down the screen. It was from Sophia's wife. "Busy now. I'll call later." The words hang there, neat and cruel in their simplicity. His throat tightens, but his fingers stay calm. He types without pause. "Don't bother. Stay with him. My line is closed to you." He presses send. The blue tick appears instantly. The air inside the room changes. Even the hum of the street outside feels sharper. He sets the phone on the table, stands, and moves toward the front door. The floor is cold. The house smells faintly of cedar and her perfume, a scent now foreign. He slides the bolt, turns the key, and leaves it inside the lock. The sound of metal settling is final, small, absolute. He walks back through the hallway, sits on the couch, palms on his knees, eyes on the silent window. The seconds stretch. A car passes outside, tires whispering through thin snow. He waits. Half an hour later, headlights swept across the curtains. He didn't move. Then came the sound of her heels on the porch, hurried, nervous, followed by the rattle of the doorknob. She knocked softly at first, then louder. "Noah?" Her voice is careful, the kind people use when they already know they're guilty. He stays still. Another try. "Noah, open up." The sound of her breath fogs through the seam of the door. "Please." He watches the shadows move under the threshold. Her silhouette bends close, hand pressed flat to the wood. Can we talk?" She knocks again, faster. "Noah, it's 2 a.m. You're acting crazy. Let me in." The corners of his mouth twitch. Not a smile, not anger, something between. He stays quiet. Minutes bleed into each other. The wind picks up outside. Her voice softens, cracks. "I messed up, okay? Please." He leans forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the door as if words could burn through it. When the silence finally lands, it's heavier than the knocks were. Through the narrow glass beside the frame, he sees her step back, wrap her coat tighter, pull out her phone. The glow lights her face, her lips move. Another man's name, probably. Or maybe she's erasing him, rewriting the night before it's fully over. She sits on the porch step. Snow begins to drift. Her hair catches it like dust. Time slows until even the ticking wall clock fades behind the sound of her breathing. At 3, she tries the door again. "Noah, please." He places a hand on the lock, fingers resting over the cool brass. Her palm hits the other side at the same moment. The contact hums through the metal. Neither speaks. The touch lasts a heartbeat, then she pulls away. Her footsteps crunch down the steps. She opens her car door, then closes. The interior light flashes once before darkness swallows her again. From inside, the faint shape of her body leans against the steering wheel, motionless. Snow crawls along the windshield until her outline blurs completely. Noah stands in the living room doorway, light from the street slipping across his face. He inhales through his teeth, slow, steady, walks to the kitchen, fills a glass with water, doesn't drink. The first blue tint of morning slides under the blinds. He takes his coat from the chair, slips it on, looks once more toward the driveway. The door closes behind him and the cold rushes in. He keeps walking, not looking back at the house, not at the car parked under the streetlight where she still sits, her head bowed over the steering wheel. His footsteps crunch over the driveway gravel. The key in his pocket feels heavier than it should. He reaches his car, opens the door and slides in. The air inside smells like rain and leather. He starts the engine. The dashboard clock glows pale blue, 7 a.m. He rests his hand on the steering wheel, steady, expression blank. Then the car moves, smooth and deliberate, rolling through the quiet street. The neighborhood is asleep. Curtains drawn, porches still dark. A delivery truck hums past, headlights sweeping across his face. He doesn't flinch. He drives through empty intersections, each red light turning green just before he stops, as if the city is silently clearing the way for him. He doesn't turn on the radio. The only sound is the low rumble of the engine and the rhythmic patter of rain beginning to tap the windshield. He grips the wheel tighter. Ahead, the sky softens from black to gray. Buildings rise from the mist, offices, stores, windows blinking awake one by one. He parks in front of a narrow building with brass letters on the glass, Wells Harlan Law Group. The lights are on inside. He kills the engine, steps out, locks the car, and walks through the puddles. His shoes click on the wet pavement, slow and precise. Inside, the lobby smells faintly of paper and strong coffee. The receptionist looks up, startled to see someone this early. "Good morning, sir. Do you have an appointment?" Noah's voice is even. "Wells, tell him it's Noah Miles." She hesitates, then nods and picks up the phone. A short exchange follows, quiet, quick, and she gestures toward the hall. "He'll see you now." Noah pushes open the frosted glass door. Attorney Wells stands behind a wide oak desk, tie loosened, jacket draped over the chair. He's surprised, but hides it well. "You look like you've been up all night," Wells says, motioning to the seat. He seat and said, "I want you to file for divorce. I want it neat and airtight." Wells studies him. "Are you sure about this?" "Yes," Noah replies. The lawyer moves to his desk, flicking open a folder. "Grounds?" "Infidelity." Wells's pen pauses midair. "You have proof?" "I will." The lawyer exhales, nods once, begins to write. "The prenup still stands?" Clause 7. Infidelity voids spousal claim. Then it's straightforward. He starts typing, the sound filling the room. Sharp, constant, final. Noah stands by the window, watching a man across the street load newspapers into a truck. The sky is lightening, but the air outside still looks cold. After a few minutes, Wells slides a set of papers across the desk. "This starts the process. I'll have her served once your confirmation comes in." Noah picks up the pen, signs where Wells points, each stroke clean and unhurried. The ink doesn't blot once. When it's done, Wells looks up. "You're certain, Noah?" "I stopped being uncertain a long time ago." The lawyer closes the file. "Then you'll hear from me by the end of the day." Noah nods once, turns, and leaves without shaking hands. Outside, the morning traffic has started. Horns, footsteps, the smell of exhaust. He crosses the street, gets back into his car and drives. The city's rhythm grows louder as the sun crawls up behind the skyline. He stops at a red light, glances at his reflection in the rearview mirror. Pale face, tired eyes, mouth set in stone. When the light changes, he turns left toward a row of old buildings on Monroe Avenue. A faded sign reads, "Harris Investigations." The blinds are half open, and a man inside sits behind a desk, with an ashtray full of burnt matches. Noah pushes the door open. The bell above it gives a dull chime. Detective Harris looks up. You again? I need something pulled fast, Noah says, laying a folded note on the desk. I want footage. Here's her picture. Harris glances at it, then at him. That's going to take some favors. I'll pay for the favors. The detective smirks faintly, nods. You'll have it by tonight. I'll be waiting. Noah turns to leave, stops at the door, then adds, Don't edit anything, I want it all. The man gives a short nod. You got it? Outside, the streets are alive now. Horns, chatter, sunlight hitting wet pavement. Noah crosses back to his car, slides in and closes the door. The envelope of documents sits on the passenger seat beside him, edges damp from rain. He starts the engine, eyes fixed ahead, as the traffic light turns green. He doesn't drive home. Not yet. The day has only started and everything he's built is already burning quietly behind him. The street outside was silent when Noah pulled into the driveway. The night had settled over the neighborhood, quiet and patient. The key turns in the door. The click echoes softly through the quiet house. Sophie is in the living room, still dressed for work, sitting on the couch with her hands knotted in her lap. The TV plays muted news, the blue light flickering across her face. When the door opens, she stands. Noah. Her voice is small, almost rehearsed. He doesn't answer. He hangs his jacket on the hook, removes his cufflinks, and walks past her toward the hallway. Noah, please, just listen for a second, she says, following him. You haven't said a word to me since... He stops halfway up the stairs. You already said enough. I know you're angry. I'm not angry, he says, voice even. I'm finished. She stands frozen at the bottom of the steps as he disappears down the hall. A door closes upstairs. The sound hits her like a slap. He poured a glass of water, drank half, then left the rest on the table. The sound of the refrigerator hum filled the kitchen. Ordinary noises that felt foreign now. He switched off the light and went upstairs. The bed still carried her scent. He turned to the other side, closed his eyes, and stared into the dark until the night dissolved into gray. Morning came without warmth. He dressed in silence, slid his wallet into his coat, and left. The sky was heavy with clouds, the kind that promised rain but never delivered. Traffic lights blinked red against empty streets. He parked outside the bank, pushed through the glass door, and nodded to the manager. Mr. Miles, the man said with a practiced smile. Back again? I need the account closures finalized, Noah said. Of course. The man led him into a quiet office at the back. Fingers moved quickly across a keyboard. All joint access terminated, secondary cards frozen. Do you want written confirmation? Yes. The printer hummed, sliding out fresh pages. The manager handed them over. Noah signed, initials precise, movements calm. Everything's secure, the man said. Noah folded the papers, slipped them into his jacket. Good. He left the bank, crossed the wet pavement, and got back into his car. The radio stayed off. He drove through the narrow downtown roads, the sky hanging low like a lid on the world. By noon, he was at his office. The building buzzed with quiet chatter, phones ringing, the smell of coffee drifting through the hallway. He walked in, nodding at no one. His assistant looked up. Morning, Mr. Miles. Detective Harris called, said it's ready. Did he leave a message? No, just said, tell him to come. Noah grabbed his jacket again, turned, and left. The drive to the detective's office took 20 minutes. The road ran through the industrial side of town. Warehouses, faded billboards, rows of trucks lined along the curb. The small brick building looked almost hidden between taller walls. Inside, the air smelled like stale coffee and old paper. Harris stood behind his desk, coat off, sleeves rolled, a cigarette burning low in the ashtray beside him. He didn't speak when Noah entered. He reached into a drawer and placed a thick brown envelope on the desk, a flash drive taped to its front. Everything's in there, he said simply. Noah nodded. Thank you. Didn't watch it, Harris added quietly. Didn't need to. Noah picked up the envelope, turned toward the door. Keep it that way. He walked out, the bell above the door ringing softly behind him. The drive home was long. Evening was starting to fold into the edges of the sky, the sun breaking into streaks of dull gold between the clouds. The envelope sat on the passenger seat, heavy and silent. He reached one hand over, touched it once, then pulled it back. When he reached the house, he went straight inside, closed the door, and set the envelope on the table. The sound of the lock turning felt louder than it should have. He peeled off the flash drive and plugged it into his laptop. The screen glowed to life. The file opened. Hotel security footage. He watched without blinking. Sophie walked into the frame wearing her black winter coat. Logan Pierce followed behind her. They spoke for a few seconds at the counter, her smile small but unmistakable. Then they entered the elevator together. Noah pressed forward. The elevator opened again at dawn. She walked out alone. Her eyes were tired, her hair loose, her coat wrinkled. He paused the video. The image froze. Her face tilted slightly toward the camera, caught under fluorescent light. No sound. No words. He closed the laptop and leaned back in the chair, breathing slow, eyes fixed on the ceiling. The silence in the house thickened until it became almost physical. Then he picked up the envelope again, added the printed stills, sealed it shut, and wrote her name across the front. He placed it on the mantel and stood staring at it for a long moment. Outside, the streetlights began to glow, one by one, across the quiet neighborhood. Noah turned off the last lamp in the room. The envelope stayed lit under the pale spill of the streetlight through the window, waiting, patient, final. The next morning, steam rises from the kettle. The smell of coffee fills the kitchen, rich and heavy. Noah stands by the counter, staring through the window as sunlight creeps across the yard. The mug in his hand trembles slightly each time he sets it down and picks it up again. Footsteps behind him. Sophie appears in the doorway, hair tied back, robe loosely knotted. Her eyes search his face for softness and find none. She clears her throat lightly. "Dad said I should remind you," she begins, voice careful. "You're still handling the technical setup for Christmas." He doesn't turn. "I don't forget. It's next week." "I know." The silence that follows stretches until the kettle clicks off. She hesitates a moment longer, then moves to pour herself a cup, pretending normal still exists. He walks past her, places his mug in the sink, and leaves the room without another word. The house moves through days like a machine running on low power. Two people living inside it, never touching the same air at the same time. Meals left on the counter, lights turned off by one and on by the other. Conversations replaced by the small sounds of routine, the closing of doors, the scrape of chairs, the hum of the refrigerator through sleepless nights. The envelope sits untouched on the desk upstairs, sealed and waiting. Outside, the world shifts toward the holidays. Lights go up across the neighborhood, the air sharp with the scent of pine and cold metal from the hanging wires. Children laugh somewhere beyond the fence. Inside, the house remains still. On Christmas Eve, he takes the envelope from the desk, slides it into a plain brown folder, and sets it beside his coat. He spends the night in the study, laptop dark, eyes open. At dawn, Sophie moves quietly through the hallway, dressed for travel. She pauses at the doorway, watching him button his shirt. Her voice is soft, uncertain. "Are you still going?" He slips the folder into his inner pocket. "Your father expects me." She nods once, relieved and terrified at the same time. They load the car in silence. The street glitters with frost, the neighborhood still half asleep. She settles into the passenger seat, fingers twisting the hem of her coat. The heater hums. Noah adjusts the mirror, eyes forward. The drive stretches through miles of winter fields and small towns strung with garlands. She tries to speak twice, stops both times. He doesn't fill the quiet. The road hums under the tires, white sky endless above them. Halfway there, She reaches to change the radio station. His hand catches hers, not rough, not gentle, just firm enough to stop her. Leave it off. She pulls her hand back, stares out the window. Snow starts to fall in slow, deliberate flakes. Hours pass. The car finally turns into the long driveway of her parents' home. The house stands wide and bright against the pale sky, every window glowing with yellow light, wreaths on the doors, laughter spilling faintly from inside. He parks beneath the trees. The engine ticks as it cools. Sophie exhales, trying to smile. They'll be happy you came. He opens the door. I came to finish what I started. She freezes at the sound of it, but he's already stepping out, coat collar raised against the wind. At the porch, the door swings open before they can knock. Her father's voice booms through the cold. There you are, the man who keeps my speakers working. Noah forces a thin smile. Merry Christmas, sir. Warm air and music spill from the doorway as they step inside. The smell of cinnamon and roasted ham fills the room, laughter rolling from every corner. Sophie's mother hugs him, her bracelet jingling against his sleeve. It's good to see you, Noah. You too, ma'am. He removes his coat, folds it neatly over his arm. The envelope presses against his chest, hidden but heavy, the edges cutting faintly into the fabric. He looks across the room, at the glittering tree, the smiling faces, the perfect illusion of family, and his jaw tightens just once. The music swells. Her father raises a glass from across the room, calling everyone to the table. Noah glances toward Sophie, voice calm. Let's get through dinner. She nods, not sure if it's a promise or a warning. The table gleams beneath the chandelier. Silver cutlery, folded linen, the faint reflection of candles flickering against glass. Voices weave through the air, soft and cheerful. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon rolls curls from the kitchen. Noah sits at the far end, next to the sound mixer, and a small laptop connected to the house speakers. Every so often he adjusts a dial just to keep his hands moving. Across from him, Sophie helps her mother pour wine. She laughs at something her cousin says, the sound practiced, fragile. Her father raises his glass. To family and to grace, he says. May every storm remind us who shelters us. Glasses clink. Noah lifts his own halfway, sets it down without drinking. Sophie notices. You all right? She whispers. I'm fine, he says. Dinner begins, plates passed, conversations braided through the clatter of silverware. Sophie's brother jokes about the traffic. Her mother teases Noah about work. He answers politely, nothing more. Between questions, his eyes drift to the small remote resting beside the laptop. The television on the wall glows black, waiting. When the dish is clear, Sophie's father leans back in his chair. Before dessert, he says, I'd like to thank Noah for always saving me from blown speakers and tangled cables. The man's practically family. Polite laughter follows. Noah stands slowly. I appreciate that, sir, he says, voice even. And since I'm in charge of the sound tonight, I thought I'd share something special. Sophie's head jerks up. Noah. He presses the button on the remote. The TV comes alive. The room stills. A still image fills the screen. The hotel lobby. Timestamp glowing in the corner. For a heartbeat, no one understands what they're seeing. Then the next frame rolls. Sophie walking across marble floors, coat collar high, a man following close behind. Someone gasps. A fork slips from a hand and clatters against a plate. Sophie stands. Turn it off. He doesn't. The elevator doors close, reopen hours later, and she steps out alone. The sound in the room dies. Her mother covers her mouth. Her father stares at the screen, jaw locked. Sophie reaches for the remote, but Noah moves first. He clicks again, freezing the image mid-frame. Her voice cracks. Noah, please. He turns toward her, still calm. You wanted a new start. Consider this one. Her father rises slowly. Sophie, is this true? She can't answer. Tears well, spill, and she shakes her head, whispering, "It's not what it looks like." Noah slides a hand into his coat and pulls out the manila envelope. It's exactly what it looks like. He places it on the table between the wine glasses and the candles. Merry Christmas. No one moves. The fire pops once in the hearth. Outside, snow begins to fall against the windows. Her mother finally speaks, voice trembling. "Noah, we can settle this, please." Sophie grabs the envelope, fingers shaking. "You could have talked to me." Her father sinks back into his chair, face pale. The rest of the family drifts away from the table, murmuring excuses, slipping quietly into the hallway. The party has turned into a funeral. Sophie tears open the envelope. The papers slide out. Divorce petition, photographs, timestamps. Each page lands on the table like a small collapse. She looks up at him through the blur of tears. "You're ending everything?" He nods once. "No, you did. I'm just closing the door." He takes his coat from the chair, folds it over his arm. The lights of the Christmas tree shimmer against his sleeve. Sophie reaches out, desperate. "Please, don't walk out of here like this." He meets her eyes, voice low. "There's no other way." He turns, walks past the silent guests, through the hall, and out the door. The cold hits him first, clean and sharp. Snow gathers on his hair and shoulders as he steps off the porch. Behind him, through the window, he sees her standing frozen beside the glowing tree, the envelope hanging from her hand. He keeps walking. At the gate, he stops once, looking back at the house. Warm light, muffled sobs, the faint echo of a carol starting again inside. He exhales, a slow cloud of white, and murmurs, "Merry Christmas." Then he walks toward the street, his footsteps the only sound left in the falling snow. Viewers, do you think Noah did the right thing? What would you have done if you were in his shoes? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting and true-to-life stories.